Hello and welcome, and I'm joined today here in the studio by Chris Rowe, who is founder and CEO of FTCS.
It's an interesting marketplace, but yeah, people aren't, normally people are selling because they no longer need that license. They're not distress sales, they're just a consolidation and people just going, where do I need to be? I need to have, probably one tier one, at least one mid-range license, a Seychelles or Mauritius or Cayman Islands, something like that. And then you might have an entry-level license as well.
But what if somebody has what if a company gets to a certain size where it has a reasonable size client base, which is not sticky because they're operating on a generic platform and can easily go somewhere else, but they have a reasonable size and reasonable volume and they're in a certain area or have a license maybe that's attractive, then a company that has other products and it's got control of its own IP and has the ability to use an developed API business that can have other different trading front end and give user experience that the current traders want, can just come along and say, okay, now that company doesn't have any IP because it's not hosted on its own service, hosted on the server of the vendor, which is participating in its trading activity. And then we can just buy the client base and for cheap because they're obsolete. They're just FX traders. There's no other things they're obsolete. You can just buy the client base and then that devalues their business. And in cases like that, there's not really, the IP is a transient client base.
Yes, it's interesting this because when you've got a business for sale, you normally have a full business. You'll have bank accounts, you'll have trading platforms, back end, back office staff, etc. That business may be unprofitable. It might not work as a business. But if you're to sell that business to another business that is doing the same, it's a very profitable company because actually they've already got the platform. You don't need two MetaTrader licenses. You can consolidate onto one MT5. You've already got the back office staff, you've got the client services team, you've got all the rest of it. So that consolidation suddenly makes a lot of sense. And you suddenly have a business that is highly profitable, but it's only highly profitable if you sell it to another broker.
Yes.
It wouldn't work if you try and sell it to someone outside the space going, I want to get into the FX CFD world.
Right. That's actually very interesting. And there's a lot of that happening now.
Yeah.
We're noticing the crypto brokerage is buying the FX brokerage to try for that reason, not to take their client base to put them to crypto, but to get into the FX and CFD sector.
Yeah.
And it's hard for them because they have got the capital because they grew really quickly.
Yeah.
They don't have the FX expertise, whereas these companies do. They have decades of it.
Well, going back to that stockbroking license, almost convinced that will be bought by an FX broker.
Yes, and then they'll keep
going. We want to go more into cash equities. Let's buy an established brand. With something that's making money and knows what they're doing.
Yes. So now you have prop shops and crypto companies which come up out of nowhere and are now huge. They are now potential acquirers for long FX brokers that have been around much longer than them. So it could be a case of, rather than becoming a target for acquisition, having some kind of way of offering those other services and participating in it rather than being acquired.
Well, it's getting the sort of partnerships right. I mean, we don't just do broker sales, we do fintechs.
Yes.
And we have a couple that we got on our books around sort of trader education space. But effectively, and I know others out there doing different things, but what you've got is a load of companies selling services into traders, but the traders aren't trading with them.
No, that's
so they're paying a subscription to buy that service and then opening an account elsewhere. And actually, where the consolidation needs to occur there is actually if you've got both ends of the equation, it becomes very compelling. So someone comes along and goes, I want this service. You go, great. Why don't you open an account here and have that partnership? We are moving into the fintech space for that. We've not done anything in the prop trading space, and the prop trading is a little bit of a grey area. It gets away with what it gets away with, but it does make me wonder at what point the regulators are going to go.
At some point, they will definitely come in.
Yeah,
but I think they will. I used to think they would come in harsh, but I don't think they will because it's reasonably sensible because you get a demo account, you trade on the demo, You pay to enter a competition a fixed fee.
Well, you're not trading your own money.
Not trading your own money at all, ever. Not ever. So even if you pass the competition and you get to the point where you are qualified by the prop firm says, okay, you're a good trader. You can actually make the demo account work well. We're now going to hire you, so to speak.
Yep.
They pay them trade. They're basically hiring them as self-employed traders.
Yep.
And then they trade a funded account. So there's no risk for the individual.
No.
Apart from them just paying to enter a competition. So I don't think it's
a subscription model. So at the moment it doesn't require any kind of regulation, but it does make me wonder whether, someone like the FCA or ASIC will turn around eventually and go, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with this.
They probably will. But I don't think they'll be as harsh as other things in other financial sector, because it's not a risk to your own capital, and you might potentially see it as it could be they'll have to change the way it's marketed, saying we will recruit you as you're paying to do an apprenticeship, and then you pass the apprenticeship, and then we'll hire you. Rather than if you go to Goldman Sachs or Merrill Lynch straight from university with your applied mathematics and computer science degree, they'll say, okay, here's your internship, sit there, trade our account for 2 years, make us a lot of money, and then we'll consider hiring you.
Yes. Yeah, which is no different.
No different.
Apart from you're not actually paying to sit there.
That's right. Yeah. It's a job. So you're not paying to sit there, but you did have to pay for your degree, and you're trying to get hired by them. So it's just, it's the institutional versus the retail version of the same thing, really. Nowadays.
Absolutely. And the challenge comes, if you are a prop trading firm, you're probably making good money doing what you're doing, but a lot of them are now looking at, do we move into the brokerage space?
Yes, they are.
Because it's a logical progression.
That's right.
But there is a certain amount of grey area there, which I think at some stage someone is going to pick up from a regulator.
Definitely.
Personally, I don't have an issue with it because I'm a bit like you. You're paying a subscription. You're not trading your own money. Your money's not at risk.
That's right.
I think it's no different from going to the pub and buying a pint.
No different. They will say, except that there's a job at the end of it, potentially.
Potentially, yes.
So they might say something like, as the regulations are, that you must have to actually offer that, just to make sure they stick to what they're saying they're going to do, and that's it pretty much. They don't just take the fee and then say, okay, you failed. Because that's the only thing I can think of, is that they would take the fee and say, well, you didn't pass the test. But then that's not worth it, because the fees are only a few hundred. It's not worth it.
No, exactly. It's not.
Whereas it costs, we know how much it costs to get an acquisition of a client. It's quite expensive.
It's quite a lot of money.
So yes, and way more than a few $100s. Yeah. So I think it's a question of them just making sure that their companies do what they say they're going to offer, the products.
No, I agree.
Described properly. That's it.
Yeah. But as long as they keep it clean like that, I think the regulators will.
They'll be all right with that.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a booming sector. Just now, recently at the IFX Expo in Dubai, there was a prop firm there, a very big, well-known one now, very big company.
Yeah.
And the CEO was there. He was a young guy, and he said, I spent 10 years just blogging and doing some trading from my chair at home, and I never made any money. But then I came up with this idea. It's a different mentality.
It is. I had a chat with a very experienced trader probably a year or so ago, and he had lost his job, and I said, well, why don't you trade for yourself? And he goes, I've tried that, it doesn't work. And he said, you have a different mentality trading your own money than you do trading company money. He said, I made a lot of money for the companies I trade for, but I wouldn't trade my own money because you just hesitate on decisions. You don't make the same decisions.
That's right, you don't. And also it's different. It's a different market.
Yeah.
You're trading smaller amounts of capital, which are highly leveraged, which is much higher risk to you because you have smaller capital. Yeah. With the corporate way of trading, interbank trading is the people who are trading in the trading desk in the banks are trading billions. Yeah. So and they are directly trading with tier one banks.
Yes.
There's a different market, there's different sum, different amount of participation capital.
But it does sort of make you wonder with the prop trading side, where there are clients out there who do the prop trading competitions, go, I'm really good at this, I'll go and open an account. And then lose all their money.
That's where I can see there having to be some kind of rules about it.
Yeah.
That something is maybe, you can't stop people doing what they want to do, but you can say to them, if you're going from this to this, bear these things in mind, potentially.
Yeah, as we all know, demo accounts are quite different from a
very different
life account.
Very different. So I think that is the question now, is having to try to create this user experience as attractive to those types of people.
Yeah, yeah. But I think, going back to the sort of conversation of the super app, interesting enough, different markets. So Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa is sort of fascinated with the whole concept of the super app.
Yes.
There's a lot of restrictions moving money around, so remittance is difficult.
Yeah.
So
even in South Africa, which is a highly developed
with the most
financial markets economy, you have capital controls.
Yeah, Nigeria probably the most advanced.
Very advanced, very much so.
It's very difficult to then transfer money to different currencies. So having super apps, and everybody's a mobile user.
Yeah, and it's volatile currency, so you have difficulties if every time you transfer it to a major to settlement. If you do settlement, it's a risk. Yeah,
but now you've got the stable coins.
Exactly.
You put it into USDT or USDC.
That's right. Yeah, that's the way to do it. And stable coin settlement is now the way that I think a lot of things will go for instant settlement of payments and probably prime brokerage at some point too.
I would have thought so. Yeah. Because it's safe.
Yeah,
or it's as safe as it can be.
It's quick and cheap.
Yeah, a crypto to me, there are sort of three areas of crypto, and there are the sort of the stable coins, which are just like trading fiat. You've got the sort of the top Ethereum's, Ripple, Bitcoin, and then you've got a whole load that you probably shouldn't touch. And I think a lot of the big sensible brokers stay in the first two sections and avoid the third section.
Yeah, that's right.
But unfortunately, the third section is giving a lot of bad press.
It is, but then if you institutionalize, if you see the more mainstream aspects of stable coins being used in a commercial setting, like settlement of cross-border invoices and things like that on large companies like Ford Motor Company, to or Toyota, these large giants that have factories in different countries, they have to pay their workforces. Yeah. And their head office will be either in Dearborn, Michigan or Tokyo. Yeah. Depending on which. But both those companies have factories in exactly the same places as each other because they're direct competitors. Very aggressive direct competitors, Ford and Toyota. They're really competing with the same market. So they're in every country they're all doing the same thing as each other, but the head office is in Dearborn and the other one's in Tokyo. Yeah. So they have to pay their staff all over the world. They're faced with the same challenges. Yeah.
So it's moving the money around. USDT,
and you have to keep printing more money. If there's an economic issue, you have to print more money to keep the same salaries for these people, the same supply chain for them. You have to buy, like your analogy about tires, you get them in different countries, but then they have to be shipped, and it's all expensive. You have to pay the shipping company, the logistics, the manufacturing.
Absolutely, and you've got to move the money around.
And it all depreciates and appreciates whilst you're doing it.
And it's much easier just to transfer it from wallet to wallet on USDT.
Wallet to wallet in one currency.
Yeah, and the banks aren't taking a big chunk of the money for the transfer.
And it's instant and it's cheap. So I think we will see interbank FX settlement being done this way, and brokerage activity, prime of prime activity done this way, because counterparty credit has been a big issue for a long time for exactly the same reasons. Default.
Well, it's also, you put it through the banks, it takes too long.
It takes too long. And it costs a fortune.
It's not instant. You want to know the money's there.
That's right. And they might reject. They have the right to reject trades. They can do last look order execution.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you can't, but they can.
No, absolutely. And I think the banks are, certainly in this country, the mainstream banks are very overcautious.
Very much so.
And to the point, I opened a Revolut business account as part of my banking, and I've also got HSBC. And the two of them, I put a test trade through, and HSBC instantly flagged it and go, "Why are you paying Revolut?" And you sort of
yes, they will do.
And I've had this with clients as well.
That's right.
Suppliers, and you just sit there and go, "Okay." I mean, it's interesting now. Revolut's become
they're now in trading as well. Yeah, they've got their own trading platform now as well. Yeah. So brokerages will have to compete with these neobanks as well from a trading perspective.
But a lot of the brokerages are already going that way. I mean, I constantly get bombarded at home by some big trading companies, and all they're doing is offering credit cards and financial services. So that's the way they're all going, and that's where they're making the money, not actually on the trading. But
that's right. So you have on various different consumer products. Yeah, I think that is how. This is another case for why having control over what you build but keeping the cost of having that item to building your own version of that would cost a fortune.
Yeah.
Right? Having a trading infrastructure that allows you to do that is very important now.
And then having a front end where you log in and it does everything.
That's right. That's right.
And that's the goal for a lot of the very large brokers out there. They want to be able to have we go back to the super app. They want an app where you go in, your money's in there, it's in an account, it's virtually like banking, and then you can go and trade whatever asset class you want out of that money. It's all, single login, single.
It is the way. That's what they're aspiring to do, and they're pouring a lot of investment into it. The only downside of it is if it's a broker that's developing the software, then it's a potential conflict, because if they white label it to another company, that company has to use that brokerage.
Yeah, well, that's always the problem with the white labels, isn't
white
it?
Labeling, exactly. Unless you white label an actual tech product, which is an actual developed by a software company, and then you can white label that, and you can use whichever brokerage you like, or a few different brokerages.
No, and it's a good point, because I've seen certainly historically when people sort of offered white label solutions, they generally got on far worse terms. Yes. If it was a broker white label solution, because they were tied in.
They're tied in. There's nothing.
So there's nothing. Yeah, and it always looks good to start with.
Yes.
And I've always said to brokers, you've got to be cautious, because check with them. How do I move out? How do I get all my data out? If I want to move to my own platform in 2 years' time.
That's a very good point.
How do I move all my client accounts, all my data and everything onto that platform? Is that built into my contract?
Yes, and who owns the data?
Yeah, who owns the data, etc. Yeah, so it's a real, obviously MetaQuotes have got rid of the white label solution, so that's taken a large part of that market out. But as you say, the fintech solutions that you can white label are the way to go, because you choose your liquidity, you choose your partners.
Absolutely right. Yeah. And then you don't get your vendor getting involved in the brokerage business with you. Yeah. So there's no conflicts between client and tech company. You can build whatever you need to build on top of it, but there's no conflict between the client and the tech company, because they're not involving themselves in your brokerage business, and then as you build, it's costing you more and more and more to lease the product, and they're still getting involved in your business. That's a thing which the industry, the retailers grew up with. Yeah. But it's something that's not relevant anymore. And it's an obstacle.
In fairness, MetaQuotes did everyone a favour by getting rid of the white label market.
They did.
And moving to a more sensible pricing model on the MT5 solution, which, I think is a big, I think had they had the old MT4 model and tried to do that, it wouldn't have worked.
No.
But the new model, it must be financially much better for MetaQuotes as well. I would have thought getting the monthly income would be a very good.
They can also allow different bridges to use their bridge technology on it, and not have to worry about any conflicts with that as well. Yeah. So it's quite. This is an evolution. This now, and also it's pressure from the number of vendors that come up. Now, of course, the vendors that directly compete in that space, they don't really have much market share. But there are vendors that work with banks, like Integral, that work with banks and work with hedge funds and things. And it's a different market. But the brokerages that get to a certain mature level will go and take a software platform like that and and they will just do everything for them. And as you say, you can then have a front end that does everything and build your business how you want to build it, to attract to keep this new type of client who wants everything in one place. Yeah. So
it's interesting on the bridging side. I mean, many years ago, when I was very active on the bridging side.
Yes.
There was one of our competitors that they didn't do the handshake when it did the trade. So it basically sent the trade to the LP and just went, trade's done.
Right.
And didn't wait for the LP to confirm. And
I let the LP deal with it.
Yes. Now, obviously, what happens when the LP rejects? Right. And so what I was chatting to a UK-based broker at the time, and they were saying, we just reconcile at the rest of at the end of the day, and then we cover the difference. I went, right, so if the FCA pop in at 4:00 in the afternoon and have a look at your accounts, and you're an STP-only broker, and they find that you're actually holding a position because it didn't get settled, what do you think they'll do? And he looked very blank. It hadn't even occurred to him, because I said, you're effectively taking risk and you're not regulated to do it. Right. So, it's getting the right bridging software is quite important.
Very important.
Yeah, and the market's changing in that as well. You know, it used to be the big three. Now it's sort of...
Now there's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, there are quite a few sensible providers in there. And, you know, I'm even working with one that doesn't charge volume fees, which is sort of fairly unheard of.
Yes, in that sector, yes.
Yeah. So, you know, the market is changing. So it's an interesting space.
It is indeed. Absolutely.
So, yeah. We'll see a lot of change.
We will. Very interesting. Nice to speak to you, Chris.
Yeah, and you.
All the best.
Very
Thanks
enjoyable.
for coming.
Cheers. Thank you.